Hello everyone, welcome to Upper Public School Kalburgi. This is Jyoti, your IT teacher. Let us start with your Unit 1 Communication Skills. Unit 1 Communication Skills. In that, Chapter 1 Methods of Communication. So let us understand the meaning of communication. Communication is the process of sharing information, ideas, opinions between two or more people. So communication, it involves various activities like speaking, listening and understanding. So in the communication, there will be a sender, as you can see here, the sender and the receiver. Sender sends the message which will be received by the receiver, and in turn the receiver sends back the feedback to the sender. So it's a two-way communication process. Methods of communication. So let us see the various methods of communication. So there are three methods of communication: verbal, non-verbal and visual. Verbal communication. Verbal communication is the most popular means of sharing information or ideas. In the verbal communication, it involves the use of words to deliver the message. Since the use of language plays a prominent role in the verbal communication, so it is very much important to improve the linguistic skills. Now let us see the forms or mediums of verbal communication. There are two mediums of verbal communication. Those are oral communication and written communication. Oral communication. Oral communication is the process of expressing information or ideas through spoken words. So in the oral communication, there are two activities: speaking and listening. So oral communication can be done with the help of mechanical devices such as telephone, loudspeaker or tape recorder, or else you can use formal means such as face-to-face interactions or else business meetings, etc. Factors to improve communication skills. So there are certain factors which help us to improve the communication skills. They are speech, rhythm, tone and pitch. First one, speech. So speech is the process of delivering the information to the audience. So it is very much important that the clarity of the information should be maintained. So during a speech, it is very much important to concentrate on the appropriate usage of words and the correct pronunciation of the words. Then rhythm. Rhythm is the variation in the pitch level of the speaker. So rhythm can be used to express the different emotions of the speaker. Either it can be cheerful or curiosity, and even it also helps to express the attitude. Then next one is tone. So it is very much important while in a formal communication to maintain a pleasant tone of communication. Then the last one is pitch. So pitch refers to the softness or loudness in the speaker's voice. Tips to improve oral communication. In that first one, read out loud. So it is very much important to be audible to the audience. So it is better that the clarity of the information is maintained. Then the second one is to maintain the audio or video recordings, which will help us to understand the area where we need to improve. Third one is talk to people in an interesting way. So it is very much important to have the attention of the listener towards the topic what we are going to present. So it is very much important to create an interest among the audience. Then the last one is public speaking. So involving yourself in the activities which involves public speaking helps to improve the oral communication. Advantages of oral communication. So oral communication helps us to improve the interpersonal skills. Then second one, it also helps us to build the relationships, since we can easily communicate our emotions with the help of the words. So it helps to build the relationships. Then third one is prompt feedback. Since oral communication involves two activities, speaking and listening, so it provides a way for a feedback from the listener. Then it is cost efficient. Then last one is it is the most preferred mode for the private and the confidential matters. So now let us see what are the Disadvantages of oral communication. First one thus may lead to miscommunication since it involves the expression of the words, so sometimes it may lead to miscommunication. Then the second one thus no legal validity since it is not maintained in the written form, so there is no legal validity of the oral communication. And third one thus it is not a permanent record. Then last one thus it is not suitable for the lengthy messages. Written communication. Written communication means communicating through written words. So written communication is more reliable and valid when compared to the spoken words. So in the written communication it is important to have the correct choice of the words, correct framing of the sentences and proper organization of the words. Forms of written communication. So different forms of communication are letters, reports, memos, circulars and manuals. And nowadays we use WhatsApp, emails as a form of the written communication. Tips to improve written communication. In that first one, expand your vocabulary, which helps us to learn new words and it also helps us to build sentences using those words. Then second one is learn to spell words correctly. Then third one is read regularly. By reading regularly, it helps to improve the vocabulary and it also gives the idea how to use those words in the sentences. Then improve grammar. Then last one is write the text keeping the audience in mind. Since it's a written communication, it's a valid form and it is more reliable, so it is very much important to keep the audience in the mind. Now let us see what are the advantages of written communication. First advantage is clear and comprehensive message. Since the written communication involves appropriate usage of the words and the framing of sentences, so it is clear. Then the second advantage is it has the legal validity. Then the third one is it is suitable for the lengthy messages and conversations. Disadvantages of written communication. The first disadvantage is it requires time to draft the message. Second one is it may involve postage cost. Then third one is since feedback is an important part of any of the communication, so feedback may delay in the decision making. Methods of communication. Verbal communication has two methods: intrapersonal communication and interpersonal communication. The interpersonal communication is in turn divided into three types: dyadic, small group and public. It is based on the number of participants involved in the communication. Intrapersonal communication. Intrapersonal communication is the most private form of communication. In this, the person himself acts as the speaker as well as the listener. So, intrapersonal communication can be like rehearsing a message or else a speech or else maintaining a personal diary or a journal. So, these are the different forms of intrapersonal communication. Then, interpersonal communication. Interpersonal communication, in this it involves two or more people in the communication. So based on the number of participants involved in the communication, we have dyadic, small group and public. So in the interpersonal communication, the first one is dyadic. So the dyadic communication involves only two people in the communication. So one will be act as the speaker and the other will be acting as the listener. For example, you can ask like, how are you? So the person may reply, fine. So it involves only two people. And one more example is the telephonic conversations. Then the second type is small group. So in the small group communication, it involves more than two people like business meetings, press conferences, etc. Then last one is public communication. So it can be like public speaking, public speeches. So it involves much more larger audience. Functions of verbal communication. Since the verbal communication involves the use of words to express the thoughts and the information, so it helps to maintain the relationships. Then second one, it helps to organize the complex ideas into more simpler way and in more organized way. Then the third one is it helps to define the reality. For example, the day is beautiful. So it helps to define the reality. Then the fourth one is helps to think. Then the last one is it can be used to reward or punish. So verbal communication can be used to appreciate someone, to give a compliment to someone, or else if used in a negative way it may also hurt the other person feelings. Non-verbal communication. Non-verbal communication usually happens in the absence of the spoken or the written words. So non-verbal communication, it involves the use of the non-verbal prompts such as the gestures, facial expressions and the body language to communicate. As you can see here, the various facial expressions are there here: happiness, sadness, anger and fear. Now let us see what are the tips for effective communication. Now to improve the non-verbal communication, it is very much important to use the appropriate facial expressions according to the situation. And second one is try to make eye contact. So maintaining the eye contact will develop the confidence and interest. Then third one is vary vocal pattern. So it is very much important to vary the vocal pattern to attract the listeners, and it also builds the interest among the listeners to listen to the speaker. Then the fourth one is avoid defensive gestures. Then the last one is during the presentation always stand straight. Then advantages of non-verbal communication. First one is it complements a verbal message. For example, if any one of your friend or relative wins in a competition, so along with the congratulations, you can smile and give various facial expressions. So it complements a verbal message. And second one, it helps the handicapped people, since non-verbal communication, it involves gestures, body language and facial expressions. It helps the handicapped people to communicate their information. Disadvantages of non-verbal communication. The first disadvantage is distortion of information. Second one is long conversation cannot be done, since non-verbal communication involves the use of body language, facial expressions and gestures. So long conversation is not possible with the help of the non-verbal communication. Then the last one is necessary explanations cannot be done. Functions of non-verbal communication. The first function is to emphasize on verbal communication. For example, if your mother asks us, will you go to school today? So to tell yes, along with the spoken words, you can nod your head. So it helps to emphasize on verbal communication. Second one, to replace verbal communication. For example, if someone asks, do you have a cell phone? So you can just nod your head and tell no. Then the third one is to complement or reinforce verbal communication. So it helps to emphasize more on the verbal communication. Then the fourth one is it also helps to communicate emotions. So since it involves facial expressions, so it helps to communicate the emotions. Then last one is to give feedback to the other person. Non-verbal practices to follow during an interview. An interview is a crucial part of the recruitment process. So here are some of the non-verbal practices which we need to follow during an interview. First one, it is very much important to maintain the eye contact. Then second one, smile and nod whenever it is required. Then third one is be polite and keep even tone. So your tone should neither be too loud nor be too quiet. Then do not slouch while sitting. Then do not lean back. Then last one is do not interrupt your interviewer. Visual communication. To convey ideas and information in forms that can be seen through the eye is referred to as visual communication. So visual communication can be done with the help of the various visual aids such as the PowerPoint presentation or the films or videos or pictures, graph and charts, maps. So these aids helps to make the visual communication more effective. The advantages of visual communication. In that first one, visual aids make communication more meaningful. So since visual communication uses various visual aids such as the charts, graphs and the models, so it makes the communication more meaningful. For example, if you are explaining about the solar system, so you can use the models of the solar system to make the students understand easily. Then the second one is it can simplify the complex data easily. For example, if there is a data which is much more complex to explain in the verbal way, so it is very much important that use the visual communication which will simplify the complex data easily. Then last one is it makes more interesting. Disadvantages of visual communication. So since visual communication involves the usage of visual aids, so it is much more costlier when compared to the other means of communication. Then second one is it is time consuming. Since we use visual aids here, so it is very much time consuming. Then points to consider while preparing a presentation. First one is the content should be suitable for visual presentation. Second one is the font should be legible and clear. Then third one is logical hierarchy. So it is always important to maintain a logical hierarchy so that the audience or the students can follow the information easily. Then use color sparingly to highlight points. Do not use very much dull or dark colors. Then use the visual tools appropriately. Then keep the significant spacing between the lines. So these are the points which we need to consider while preparing a presentation. Communication cycle. So let us understand the meaning of communication cycle. Firstly, what do you mean by communication? Communication is a process of exchanging information between two or more people. So we have various methods of communication like verbal, non-verbal and visual method of communication. As you can see here, there is an effective communication cycle. So in the effective communication cycle, a sender sends the message through the communication channel to the receiver. The receiver understands the message which is sent by the sender and gives his feedback back to the sender. So this is the communication cycle. Now let us see the communication cycle with an example. For example, a teacher gives a homework to prepare a project report on the solar system. So the teacher gives the instructions to the class monitor regarding how to prepare a project on the solar system. In turn, the class monitor explains all the steps and the instructions to the entire classroom. So as a result, all the students will be knowing how to do the project report on the solar system. So this is how is an example of the communication cycle. As you can see here, formulate, then send. So what information you want to send. So the other person receives it and then he decodes it. That is, he'll understand what information is sent by the sender. And then in turn, he'll send the information back to the first one. That is the sender. So it is the feedback here. Principles of effective communication. So let us see what are the principles of effective communication. First one is simple language. So it is very much important in a communication that the language which is being used should be simple and understandable both by the sender and the receiver. Then the second one is definite. That is, the message which the sender wants to send should be a proper one and should be clear. So as a result, definite in the sense the aim of the communication should be clear. Then the third one is complete and concise. So the information should be complete. So incomplete information may lead to misunderstandings. Then the next one is appropriate medium. So it is very much important to select a proper medium considering the factors of timing as well as the situation of the sender and the receiver. Then the last one is authentic. So the information should be trustworthy and Correct. So these all are the principles of the effective communication. Importance of effective communication. So let us see what are the importance of effective communication. First one is it encourages active participation. That is, for example, if you are communicating with a group of people, so it encourages each and every individual to participate in the discussion. So it encourages the active participation and it also helps to create and build the interest. Then the second one is building relationships. So effective communication helps to build relationships with your friends, with your relatives, and we can also use non-verbal communication with the help of which we can easily relate with the other people. Then the third one is it builds confidence. So it helps to boost the confidence among the speakers that yes, we can communicate properly. Then the fourth one is it helps to handle the conflicts. So it helps to reduce the misunderstandings and also to clear the misunderstandings and to resolve the conflicts with the help of the verbal communication. Then it saves the time and reduces the stress. So these all are the importance of the effective communication. Then the next one is what are the elements of a communication cycle? So, as you can see here, communication cycle in the figure, right? So, there are certain elements here. Those are sender, message, encoding, channel, receiver, decoding and feedback. So, you can see in the figure also. So, this is the sender who will send the message, then the message which is sent through the communication channel, the receiver who does the decoding and then the feedback, right? So let us see the mind map of the communication cycle. Firstly, the sender generates an idea, that is he'll decide what message he want to send to the receiver. Then the message is encoded here and that encoded message is sent through the communication channel. So the communication channel can be a telephone or any of the social media or else email, right? So these are few examples of the communication channel. So once the message is sent through a communication channel, it is being received by the receiver. Here the message is decoded, that is the receiver will be able to understand what message is sent by the receiver. So based on his understanding about the message, he will send the feedback to the sender. Now here it is very much important that in an effective communication the feedback is needed. So without the feedback the sender will not be knowing how to improve his communication. Feedback. Now let us understand what you mean by feedback. A feedback is the response or reaction of the receiver to the sender after analyzing and understanding the message. So in an effective communication cycle, it is very much important that the receiver gives the feedback to the sender. Without the feedback, the person will not be able to improve in the communication and in the information which has to be sent. Then there are certain types of feedback. So there are two types, positive feedback and negative feedback. Positive feedback indicates that the information is clear and is understandable and the sender can continue the process of communication. Whereas the negative feedback indicates that the sender should improve the communication as well as the message should be clear, right? So these are the two types of the feedback. Now let us see what are the features of an effective feedback? Now, the effective feedback should be linked to the work the student is doing. So, always if the work or any of the task is given to the student, so the feedback should link to the work or the project what the student is doing. So, it should relate with the information there. Then, it should be accessible at the appropriate time because late feedback is of no use. So at the appropriate time it should reach to the students. Then the third one is it should be linked to the learning intention. So always the feedback should be in such a manner that it should be able to create an interest among the students and it should link to the intention of the learning. Then the next one is it must be linked to the success criteria. So it should motivate the students towards the success of their goals. Then the next one is it must include specific areas of improvement and provide the next steps to the students. So, a feedback should be in such a way that it should guide the students regarding their improvement in the level of performance. And then a feedback should never be measured against the other students' progress. So, these are the certain characteristics or importance of feedback. Now, let us see what is the importance of a feedback. So, first one is basis of problem solving. For example, whenever the sender sends a message to the receiver, it is not necessary that the receiver agrees to the point of the sender because he may have his own level of perception. So, it can act as a basis of problem solving. Then, the second one is effective listening. So, a feedback will develop an attitude of effective listening among the receiver. Then it can motivate. So it can motivate an healthy communication between the sender and the receiver. Then it can improve. It can improve the communication between the sender and the receiver. Based on the feedback what a person will get from the receiver, he can improve the information and he can present the information in a better way. Then the performance. Positive feedback also helps us to improve the performance of the message. Then the next one is the tool for continue, that is it helps to keep on the communication continuous. Then last one is learning, it motivates and it creates an interest in the learning of the new concepts and matters. So in short it develops the interest among the listener as well as the speaker. Descriptive feedback. So descriptive feedback can be given in the written form or else by using the non-verbal method. So descriptive feedback is nothing but a feedback which is in more detail, which will help the improvement in the students learning process. So it is the most powerful tool for improving students learning, since descriptive feedback contains the suggestions and the information in detail, so it is the most powerful tool. Now, benefits of descriptive feedback. So let us see what are the benefits of descriptive feedback. The first benefit is it provides useful information. For example, in a classroom, when a teacher tells you like create a model of an aeroplane. So if the student doesn't understand how to create a model, so the teacher tells in a descriptive way or shows the method how to create it. So it provides the useful information regarding the topic. Then second one is it helps to fill gap between the level of performance and the learning goal. So many times it happens that the students will be knowing what to do but they will not be able to apply it. So it fills the gap between the level of performance and the learning goal. Then the next one thus it helps to self-assess. Now let us see what are the factors of descriptive feedback. First one is goal oriented. A feedback should motivate the students to achieve their goals. So it must tell the various ways how they can easily achieve their goals. Then the second one is actionable. That is, a feedback should relate to the topic what the students are going to do. So the topic should be related with the feedback. Then the user friendly. Always the feedback should be user friendly and it must be in a motivating way. Then timely. A descriptive feedback should be given in time so that the performance of the students can be improved. Then the next one is it should be continuous and consistent. So a feedback should be given continuously so that the students can understand the level of performance and where the areas where they need to improve. So these are the factors of the descriptive feedback. Effective feedback cycle. Effective feedback cycle involves discover issues, that is discovering the problems related to the topic. So either it can be self-discovery or assisted discovery. So self-discovery is analyzing or self-analyzing, whereas assisted discovery is taking someone's help. So here we'll discover the problems or the issues. The next one is we'll analyze causes and the consequences. So here we'll analyze the causes which are causing the problems. Then the next one is create options and solutions. Based on the analysis, we'll create the options and the solutions which are necessary to solve a problem. And then once we create the options and the solutions, what we do is we commit an action. That is, we plan how to solve those problems. Then the next one is evaluate performance improvement. Then after rectifying everything, we'll evaluate the performance whether the improvement is being done. So this is effective feedback cycle. Then types of feedback. There are two types of feedback: specific feedback and non-specific feedback. So specific feedback is the feedback which gives you more detailed information regarding how to improve a particular information. For example, it is very much interesting that we have started a conversation with a question. So it gives a detailed explanation regarding what made that topic more interesting. So here starting with the question made that information more interesting. So this is what is an example of the specific feedback. The non-specific feedback. So non-specific feedback is a feedback which is not in much detail and is not much useful to the students or to the receiver. For example, great job or well done. So you'll not be able to understand what a particular thing in the entire presentation made it look good.